Yellow Raleigh, what wacky adventures should we get into today?
I don't know, Greg, so many possibilities.
No, it's time for a reboot. People want new, Disney needs new. Money need money.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid, one of the best teenage books, children's books, I guess, of all time. I remember back when I was in middle school, elementary school, Diary of a Wimpy Kid was all the rage. Only the coolest of the coolest kids that vaped and went to the bathroom with girls read Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I mean, the original movie series was amazing. It was an absolute classic that all the cool kids used to watch. I remember watching that movie with my friends and thinking that we were so amazing and awesome for watching Diary of a Wimpy Kid dog days. Time goes by fast. And then I remember after the original trilogy ended and they made that really bad reboot that we never talk of because it's not canon.
This is totally not cool.
You want me to read? I'm reading text. What's the difference?
Every moment I live is agony.
And now recently, not recently, more like a few years ago, I think Disney threw their hat in the ring and made their own Diary of a Wimpy Kid, animated trilogy. And today we're going to talk about it. I actually made a video on the Rodrick Rules movie like over a year ago, and it didn't do well. But we're going to do it again, because if it doesn't work the first time, it will the second time. We're going to talk about the original one that came out in I want to say 2020 during the pandemic, and the second one that came out 2022, and then the Christmas one that came out last year actually. And I watched all three, so you don't have to. So if you guys do enjoy this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Let's get into the first movie. This movie is just the first book. In all seriousness though, this movie does take heavy inspiration from the original book. Not to the same degree as I would say the first movie in the original trilogy, because that movie did take heavy inspiration from the book, but I feel like in a lot of aspects they changed some things to make it its own original thing, where if you watch the movie and read the book, it didn't feel like they just took the book and then said let's make it live action, whereas this movie feels like let's take the book and animate it, which isn't a bad thing. Trust me, the original Diary of Wimpy Kid book is a really solid book and I enjoyed it as a kid. But looking back on it, it does have some flaws that you can see in this movie because of how much it doesn't deviate from the book. I feel like they could have did a lot more things with this movie considering it's animated. There's a lot more creative liberties I feel you can take with animation versus live action, and I'm really sad they didn't do that. I really liked the book drawn art style that Greg does, like when he's drawing in his diary, the same drawings that show up in the book. I like how they did that style in the movie, but I just don't like the fact that Manny looks like the way he does. In terms of the animation isn't the worst thing in the world. The animation is actually really solid in this movie. I mean, you can still notice some voice acting, the voices won't sync with the animation, but if you can get past that, the movie isn't an abomination. It's not the worst thing I've ever watched. The voice actors try to, in my opinion at least. I liked Greg's voice actor, I like Rowley's voice actor. Now Susan and Frank, I'm not a big fan of their voice actors. I don't know why, they just sound a little bit off. And that's just not my Miss Heffley, honestly. That's not my Miss Heffley. That's also not my Manny. But if you can get past the just small things of this movie, you can have a pretty good enjoyment experience.
Another one.
When I originally reviewed this movie when it first came out, I was really cynical for no reason, and I wanted it to be so cool and edgy. So now I'm gonna give this movie an actual fair review that isn't just me being edgy and that guy because I thought it was adorable. And in my personal opinion, this movie isn't awful. I mean, in my initial review, I made it seem like this movie was worse than the Antichrist for no reason. This movie is solid. It's basically just Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Rodrick Rules, but animated, and there's some stuff missing. The dynamic between Rodrick and Greg is pretty good. It plays out basically like in the book and the original movie. Rodrick throws a party, they mess up the house, Greg gets locked in the basement. Rodrick decides to teach him some stuff in order to help him survive middle school. Greg eventually tells on his brother his brother gets in trouble, and then they make up at the end, like the original book and movie. So in all honesty, I don't have a problem with this movie. It's not awful. My initial review, I made it seem like I hated this movie, even though I really didn't. It was a pretty enjoyable watch, rewatching it. I feel like Rodrick and Greg's dynamic throughout this movie is comparable to the original trilogy. Not to the same extent, of course, because that movie had a lot more time to really get into their shared experiences and becoming more close as brothers. This movie doesn't do that. Well, they do it, but they don't do it in the same way. I feel like if you compare this movie to the original movie, they would be pretty equally weighed. I feel like a lot of people just hate on the animation style of these films and they won't give them an actual fair shot. I know that the original movie had a lot of stuff kind of cut out to make that movie a 55-minute viewing experience. This movie is not awful. I mean, if you want to see Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Rodrick Rules, and you don't feel like buying the book or watching the original movie, this isn't a bad substitute. So Diary of a Wimpy Kid Cabin Fever is the most recent film released in this trilogy of movies. I watched this one with my friends near Christmas and it was actually pretty good. I think this one deviates the most from its original book. A lot of stuff in this movie did not happen in the original Cabin Fever book, like Greg and Riley having to ditch their clothes in the dumpster. And I'm pretty sure what they did was different in the book. I'm pretty sure they got stickers or something stuck on the wall. In this movie, however, Riley and Greg mess up a snowplow and they try and go on the run and they don't want to get in trouble for it. They get snowed in, Manny takes all the food, and then Riley and Greg decide to Greg decides to tell, but not really, tells his family what he did. And instead of telling on himself to the lady, which I'm pretty sure she knew he was the guy that did it, he instead actually decided to donate his Christmas present to the lady whose snowplow he wrecked and their kid so that she could spend time with her son. Which honestly might be the nicest thing I think Greg's done in any iteration of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. He donated his Christmas present to a family who probably needed it more than he did. And that movie really made me feel happy. I really loved that scene. I feel like that might actually be the best scene in all of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, excluding the loaded diaper scene from the original Rodrick Rules. But yeah, it's definitely a really good movie. It's really high up there. When it becomes Christmas time again, I recommend that you come back, watch this video, and then go watch the movie itself. It flows really well. The voice acting is at an all-time high this time. The animation isn't that awful. And I feel like, yeah, if Disney keeps going with these movies, they could definitely have something here. In conclusion, I really do like most of these movies, and I'm not going to sit here and act like there aren't some aspects of them that may not be enjoyable for a hardcore Diary of a Wimpy Kid nerd. But compared to other Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies, they're not the best, but they are definitely another way to watch these books and get the same type of context. The first one is easily the weakest out of the three. The second one is the second best, and Cabin Fever by far is the best movie in this trilogy. I really do hope that Disney continues to make more of these films because I personally enjoy them and I don't have a major issue with them, unlike some people. I feel like they're enjoyable and I feel like it's a great way to watch Diary of a Wimpy Kid content. If you guys enjoyed these videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, do whatever it do, join the Discord server, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!